Uh, Welcome back to the Amsterdam Radio with the VIP Shaily. Whoa, we forget the whole intro stuff. We were talking this before going live about the plight of being not plight, but being a first generation American. How like
It's a thing.
it's a thing, and I don't know about you, but to me it's always a struggle. I felt like growing up, I doubled down the American side because my parents came here for a reason. But then one day America was like, "We're done with you," and then where do I go? Help me out, Shaily.
No, it's true. You're 100% like it's a different experience that people don't see. This is funny. I never get to talk about this. This is such a real thing. Like, did you have that thing where you had to like advocate for yourself in school because your parents weren't connected to like how the schools ran? Because like that happened to me.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah. So my parents are West Indian, and so like many places that were products of British Empire, they're very imperialistic. So I would go to these parent conferences, and my teachers would say, he's a good kid, but he talks a lot. My parents are like, well, you can always whip him. Like, we don't do that here. Just hit them with a ruler, you'll be fine. I'm like, Ma, don't people. So yes, I get it. I totally get it.
Well, that is intense. I mean, my mom went to my mom grew up in Morocco. She got hit with a ruler. Like that was super normal there.
Right.
Like, but here, not a thing. No, I remember for me, like, what were you gonna say? Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a thing. Yeah.
No, it's so sad. I think it's still legal. Actually, I studied education, right, in college, and we had to take like a law and education class. I think it's still legal in certain like places. So just the world we live in. Yeah. Also, like if people just fun facts about education, they can still teach religion in public schools. They just like are very crafty about it. In Indiana, like students would leave my classroom for like an hour or two a week to go to like a Christian class. They now technically have it off campus, so it's like an opt-in thing, but it's still like during school hours, which is whatever. It's interesting. Anyway, we live in a country that people don't realize things are still happening. But anyway, first gen problems.
We had in New York, we had the Old Testament as literature. That's what it's called. The Old Testament as literature.
Oh, yeah, you could just do that's so interesting. Mm-hmm. See, right there you go. Interesting. Yeah. So
sorry, I'm getting off topic. You're talking about.
I don't know. I love it. I'm in for all of it.
The advocating for the differences between first generation and modern generation, all that stuff.
Yes. Definitely, I will say, like, in school, having to advocate for myself or, like, explaining why tests had to get signed. But the other perk came here. There's two perks. Okay, so I remember in high school, there was this thing, I think it was called Edline, and it was basically a place where you could get your grades, like, published so your parents could, like, track your grades as they were happening. Right. My friends, if they had, like, a bad grade or they missed an assignment or they didn't get, like, 100%, would get punished, like, and go to, like, get grounded for not doing their work, right? Oh, yeah. My parents didn't even know this existed. Like, they had no clue.
Nice.
But the best part, and I think I am grateful for this because you'll see this all the time. Like, I think they say like a good percentage of like startup founders are first generation or like immigrants. Like, my motivation is through the roof because it's like I had to figure all this stuff out myself, and I had to like learn how to navigate. But also, I was self-motivated. Like, I wasn't motivated by like my parents punishing me to go get schoolwork done. I'd say, "Hey, sign this thing." And they're like, "Okay." Like, did they look at it? No. Were they supportive? Did they do everything the school asked them to do? Yes. Did I get the tutor that I needed? Yes. So I think it gave me a fire. I feel like maybe it gave you a fire. I'm going to make an assumption because I think you're super cool that it gave you a fire. But
I love assumptions.
What do you think?
So I think that's the main thing because like, no, assumptions are great. No, because my parents were hard like that. They understood numbers, and so you come home with a 95.
Oh, interesting.
And they would say it's not 100. How dare you? You're 5%. You're slacking on. But when I was a kid,
so they're the opposite. Okay, this is great. This is why we don't make assumptions. Okay, yes.
No, yeah. Well, on top of it, because I was also a heavy set kid, people always assume when you're fat, you're lazy. So like that, and my parents saying you're not enough or good enough at the time academically was always like my motivators for things.
Oh, so interesting. So it was like the opposite. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So you're happy with that? You're happy with were you happy at the time or no? This sounds like a lot.
So it was weird because, my parents were never the kind of parents to take me out of school for mental health or say, well, I want to go get some candy and stuff. And so I always felt like I got the short shift of it. But like now it's kind of like I see what they were going for because they were very like new world, new opportunities. It's all good.
That's interesting. Oh, interesting. I see. My assumptions have been completely destroyed. This is good to know. This is interesting. That makes me wonder.
I'm not interesting at all. I'm just a square, but
no, you're cool. Would you, if you were in a position to recreate some youth's upbringing, would you do the same or what would you differently?
So this is what I always wonder about, because like not that everyone's ever asked to be on the show, but I don't want to have kids, right? But it's something I do think about because my ex girlfriend wanted the kids, and it was like, what would you do? And it's like, well,
Ooh, it's a good topic. Ooh,
it
yeah.
was yeah. I mean, it eventually broke us up, but the idea was like I wanted to be. I understood the drilling of consistent work of high quality. My parents did, and I understand that to have a kid who does that, you got to be a bit firm. But at the same time, I'm seeing like kids now who are just like damaged. So I had this realization in my 20s where I go, no matter how you raise your kid, you're going to give them psychological problems and damage. The idea is to make it look nice, like a nice steak, the nice grill lines on the side. So I don't know, maybe a little bit more fun, but definitely kind of similar.
Interesting. See, I think that's where it like puts it all back into perspective. Is it like, I don't know. It's like, was it the ends justify the means? Is that the expression? Like,
I think
it's
so.
apparently it's worth it, I guess. Like, it's kind of where it's like they might hate it or you might have hated it, but like, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they're
It's
okay.
cool to see. Like,
they're fine.
I'm happy with my upbringing. Like, I don't have any regrets. I know, like, for plenty of people, this is keeping the therapy industry alive and well. Get a therapy is a good thing, yes, but like, plenty of people have problems with their parents and their upbringings if they're. It's a good topic, but also like the pressure of children. I think that's a topic that has been beaten to death over the last decade or so. But that's a hard one. But like for people to know that is huge, and it's an interesting one. Anyway, there's a lot of topics on that too. But
I'm at the age now with my parents where they're kind of like, "Oh, mom's being mom again." Like, there's nothing they can do to hurt my feelings or get me mad. I know some people out there who live really a blood feud with their parents, and unfortunately for them, but I'm not like that. It's kind of like, man, it was rough, but here's your Christmas present or whatever.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. That's cute. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. But it's the middle of the winter time, but it's also the high season for professional wrestling. WrestleMania is in April, and you were telling me that you were connected to the sport, the the wrestling arts and sciences. I've been dying to figure this out. How are you connected to wrestling?
Okay, so this is really weird. So I had no idea WrestleMania was happening. So I'm gonna spoil and say like I'm disconnected at the moment, but I have an appreciation for it. So this is great. So I grew up in Chicago, like North Suburbanite, like make assumptions on whatever that means. Like wrestling was not, I don't think it was something that was like very obvious that something I would ever get into. I get to school in Bloomington, Indiana University, go Hoosiers. And by a fluke, my friend becomes a dancer at a club, and the bouncer had a crush on her. And the bouncer had a girlfriend, terrible abusive girlfriend. I'm gonna spill all the tea on the situation because it was a whole shenanigans. He likes my friend, the dancer from the club that he works at. He's like, hey, I'm an independent pro wrestler, come to my show. And my friend, who's like a Hoosier, she's like from like the border of Indiana and Kentucky, like totally different than how I grew up. Like it was a culture shock to learn about what's going on like south of Chicago. And she's like, Shaily, come with me. And I'm like, okay, like this is a weird experience I'll never get to do again. I'll say yes to any weird experience. So we go see this wrestling show, and we see like one of the last nights that this original couple was lasting. This woman turned out to be like a psychopath, whatever. And from there, her, and my other best friend, who was completely independent from the situation, also gets involved in the wrestling ring somehow because she starts dating a guy who's in this circuit. And so the three of us are essentially turned into like groupies for this like independent pro wrestling thing. And we end up going to show after show after show for like a year or a year and a half. And then she, other spoiler, ends up marrying the guy, has 2 kids, living happily ever after. And I'm like, you know what? Weird beginnings, beautiful endings. Yeah. And my life has been touched by wrestling. And I met, does Austin Aries, somebody famous? He was at our show.
Yeah, Austin Aries. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of a jerk, but yeah.
Okay, great. I don't know. We hung out for like a whole day because he was he went to visit the show. So apparently I saw him on TV. I was overseas traveling and I'm like, is that Austin Aries? I've seen him in person. I hung out I had dinner with him. Like, what is this? As a clueless, ignorant person, I was like, this is the weirdest subculture I've never seen before. And then they wanted to kill me. Can I tell you why they wanted to kill me?
Okay.
I told them, like, I love drag queens. I love drag performance. And I'm like, this is just like drag. And they're like, macho sport. They're like, no, it's not. This is so different. Right? Yes, I saw your reaction.
It is not.
It's so similar because you have a persona, you have a costume, you have an energy. Maybe you're not lip syncing to songs, but like there's some personality and playfulness and humor to it. And there's a performance. And I'm like, so anyway, I had this, it was life changing. I never thought I would be into it, but like being able to support these guys, like it was the most unusual thing. And, I don't know how they're still going, but like I met so many, there was even some Jewish pro wrestlers in this like independent scene. So I was like, this is so cool. There was 2. I was like, that's 2 more than I thought ever existed. So anyway, this is a little taste of my wrestling experience.
So I got a lot to unpack here. But first of all,
unpack, it's a whole thing.
When I say Austin Aries is a jerk, I mean his character. 2, there's lots of Jewish wrestlers like Goldberg, Randy Savage's Macho Man's mom was Jewish. I think the mother was your mom's Jewish. You're Jewish, right? Why not? So,
right, sure. I know there's a bunch professionally too. Yeah, in the middle of Indiana though, like I was like, what?
Wait, but what does it mean to be a wrestling groupie though? What does that mean? You just like paw the back of a bus.
Exactly what you think it means. We each like stacked up with a wrestler, and I didn't do anything crazy, but we all had our like. Look, how many details do you want? The one got married, had a kid. The other, this is, okay. And I love these people. If they're listening, I love you both so much. The other one had the best thing in her life happen to her through a horrible human being, but it's fine. Ended up having a baby with the other wrestler affiliated guy, and she is the cutest thing. She's on my cell phone as a graphic image, but she's now like 10 years old or whatever. So like it is the best gift from a terrible human being, but like came out of that wrestling circuit. So, and then I had a little bit of fun. So it is what it is. Wrestling groupie.
No, I guess I totally just asked that question completely wrong. I was going to say like a rock stars, you go like to the backstage area. There's like a whole thing waiting online. Is it the same thing or is it something that's different?
We were at an armory. Like I don't even know what an armory is, but it was like a gym that they would like bring in all this expensive supplies and lights to make it look fancy, which was cool. It was like it took a lot. Like it took them hours to set up and hours to tear down. But I would hang out after hours to watch them tear it all down so that I could hang out with them after and go to whatever restaurant that we're going to go to. So
that's cool.
There was not a big backstage. It was not like it was independent pro wrestling. So
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
I didn't even know what
because here in Los Angeles there's like a lot of promotions like PWG and all those things, and they're big now. But like there are some times that you're having these shows in like high school gyms, parking lots. I'm like it's not glamorous. So I was kind of asking about that because it's kind of around asphalt.
And it's funny because like I'll say this yes, it's not glamorous. It was totally the opposite of who I am. Like one of the best things about living in Indiana from Chicago is that like I became like a fashion icon. Unless you were from New York, which was only a handful of New Yorkers, because they always were like you knew a New Yorker because they were dressed to the nines. Like Indiana does not get good clothes, so I would always look like a celebrity when I'd walk into places. So like that's the kind of fabulous I was. And me showing up to pro wrestling was like a whole other world. So anyway, I love that about going to college there. Is that like the Chicagoans end up being like the top of the beauty. Yeah, because here there was a joke I heard. This is a comedian's joke. I did not write this joke, but I like love it. It was like they were like, oh, New York, like there's people who are 10s or 9s, 8s. LA, the same thing. Like people are pretty, not pretty. Like I think this is true. You're both cities, right? Like you have different numbers. They're like Chicago is different. Chicago is more like pass fail, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what it is. Like either you look good or you're like whatever, and it's like it doesn't matter where you are in between. So I was great. Yeah.
I only been in Chicago for 4 days, and it just part of it I was very, very like, oh wow. And the parts going like, yeah, we're in the Midwest. Sure are.
No, wait, you're not. Like, no, you're not. Like, I didn't know I wasn't in the Midwest till I went to Indiana. That is a whole other can of worms.
That bad.
But, like Chicago, we have stores, we dress a little bit, but like we don't care as much as New York and LA.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I feel. I don't know. You compete with me. You're from both. So
again, I enjoyed the time I was there, but it definitely felt like you were saying very pass fail. We were looking around like that guy's from Joliet. Like, you know what I mean?
So I'm glad you're able to see it. So that's what it is. So it was fun to stand out.
Before you went live today, we were talking about the new year and all that stuff. I mean, last time you were on the show was pretty much late in last year. What's going on for you? Goals, dreams, anything in between?
I think I was telling you, like, the last few days, I'm like a little bit like I'm a lost puppy. I'm like, but everything is fine in my life. Like, I'm like, I'm good. My bills are paid. They're going to be paid for quite like a minute. Like, I'm okay. Like, business is cool. I've got fun opportunities to explore. I don't know, like one of the things I do, like I coach a community, like it was a group of 200 people that I coached on how to do LinkedIn through one of my clients. And she just launched a new program where I get to go even deeper with like less people, which is really cool because I love going deep with people. So I get to coach some like 30 some consultants on some of that stuff too, which is really exciting because this has been a program that she's been wanting to do for a long time. And I've been working for like, I don't know, 2.5 years for my clients, and it's like fun. So that's exciting, but you know, maybe maybe some TEDx ideas.
Yeah.
So I have some stuff. There's some ideas, but yeah.
We were talking about the TEDx thing also. Like, I didn't realize how, I guess, I don't know to say it, how sporty it is as far as like you apply, there's circuits, there's people who have like 20 X's on their name. People are trying to get in the game. Like, how does that even, like, how does that work? How does that thing is?
So I've done a lot of research on the subject because I was like, oh, TEDx. I'm like, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you can use a TEDx and you can leverage it for your career, which is not a bad thing. But most people make, can I say shitty, like shitty talks.
Yeah.
But it definitely gives you some status. But I think the level of value that it gives is like diminished over the last like 5 years. This is from like a TEDx nut.
Right.
It's not what it used to be, but it is a way that you can leverage for your career. And like, there's a lot of events. Usually I have a guy that I follow. If you want to stalk Taylor Conroy, very interesting character. We're on his list for like 5 years. He like does the whole process for you. Like he has a team that like pushes all the buttons. So you get to talk and he shows you how to promote it after the fact. And he's like, it takes a good year, but there's events everywhere. And the idea is that people usually will fly anywhere they get accepted because they want to get on that stage and say what their thing is. And the idea too is that you get a very nicely produced video at the end that potentially the TED organization has a TEDx thing where they like sometimes push them out, which is a huge opportunity for people to get some attention. So it's a scene. It's definitely a scene. It is someone who's worked on knockoffs of this. It's like knockoff of TEDx. It's like it's a whole can of worms. It's a dream of mine. Like I will say my life did change because I went to a TEDx event in 2013, right before I graduated college, and I was lost and confused. And my like idol spoke. Well, she wasn't my idol yet, but she was like, "This woman is my dream." And then like I've been following her ever since, and she's changed my life. And every year she changes my life in a new way. So
yeah,
for me, there is a lot of love for this thing. So
no respect. I respect that because I know a lot of people who've gracefully crossed my show has done that event. But it is kind of interesting as to who goes to TEDx's because there's so many of them. Ooh. How do you tell which ones are good, which ones are kind of like, this is a tier 3, this is a tier 4, this is a tier 1.
I can tell you what's good. I literally started keeping a list of all of the events I went to and which ones were good at what aspects. TEDx Bloomington in 2013 had the bomb everything. The speakers were like, every single one changed my life. Like I felt like I had to be like an activist for every subject that they said because they like captured me. I've not had that feeling since. It like ruined me for the other ones.
It's like Woodstock.
But I will say this is how people usually get in. So there's the university ones, where it's usually whoever the university like is in their orbit will be invited because you like unless you go to the website, like TEDx will give you a list. That's usually how those people show up. The TEDx Chicago I went to like 4 years ago, and it felt like it was all people that were associated with like a scene that I wasn't in. So for me to be in that room felt really uncomfortable because I was like, I don't know. It was a beautiful event. TEDx Chicago, you had a lot of money, a lot of resources, and I got to tweet at Elon Musk's brother for a minute. So like they pulled some strings. There were some good people in there, but like I don't know if I felt so cozy in that room, but if you went to TEDx Bloomington, everybody became friends with each other in that room, which was fantastic. University and like Bloomington, the town, people came. It was a good mix. The other one is at TEDx, like for the libraries, which this is earth shattering here. You're not allowed to get compensated to run a TEDx event. But if you're a library, you're not. Yeah, you have to. It's like all you fundraise and you pay. I mean, people probably get paid to like do the services get hired, but like you were not. It's not a moneymaker directly for you. You can use it as a leverage point. But libraries, so TEDx Vernon Area Public Library, which is my library, they had a TEDx event and it was small. It was a tiny little room in a library for like maybe 100 people, tiny room. But because they're at a library, you have to know that the people at the library are getting paid to do their job. So the events were really, really good because people were being compensated. Not for the TEDx event, but for the job that told them that this is now your job as part of your job. Right. So libraries, and ideally too, the ones if you're going to be a speaker, they're usually they like local people, but that's not always the case because people all over the place now know that this is like a strategy to like grow your business. So
right, yeah.
But that's how the lay of the land is. If you didn't know.
So cool. Now that is piques my interest. Are you part of any other like besides TEDx, like fandoms or communities or like any kind of cross sections outside of your business? Are you like a Harry Potter head? You like do motorcycles on weekends?
Oh, did I? Oh, I didn't tell you about this yet. Okay.
Tell
I
me.
don't think I told you. I told you about the Survivor thing. Did I tell you about this last time? No.
No, I think
Oh,
TV show.
this is gonna be good. So I, as a teenager who did not have friends, I learned to make friends on the internet. I think I told you the story. I made friends on the internet. I managed this online community for people who like to play online versions of the reality competition shows Big Brother and
You did
Survivor.
tell me this. You
Did we
did
talk
tell me
about
this.
this?
Yes, we did.
Oh, I
Yeah,
geek. People have
yeah,
been asking me to apply to their shows, and I'm like, and I have a little bit of notoriety, but like it's a lot of work. But it's we go and we play in person. We play on. Well, I haven't played online in a long time, but it's fun. And then
yeah.
another, I mean, a friend of mine from a live Survivor I played, Jack. He got on the Circle last year, which was like shocking and exciting, but also was like I knew you could be on TV.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Like people that I've played with are like doing the things. I'm like,
Do you watch reality
anyway.
shows too, or is it kind of like nah? I only like play the games I love. Like I watch the shows that I like.
Oh, Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother is coming out in like today. Oh, I think it starts today. That's happening. There's some crazy. Chris Katana's on there, which is really fun. I think Lamar
Mr.
Odom is
Peoples?
on there. Yeah, there you go. Like, there's some good people. Carson from the Fab Five. Like, anyway, like I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
There's some good folks on there. So I love Big Brother. I love Survivor. Survivor's coming out in like a month.
Okay.
After a year of a hiatus. They had one season last fall, but they had a year pause because of COVID, which was like heartbreaking, but it's back for another season. So anyway, that's exciting. So I don't watch reality shows where it's like, I don't watch like the Housewives or any of those things. Only competition shows. I'm watching The Amazing Race with my mom right now, which has been really good.
Oh yeah, Lulu Lala's on the season.
Wait, do you know them?
I work with them, so they are DJs, and my friend
know
works.
them?
I know
They're so
of
cute.
them. Two
Still, that
degrees.
counts.
Yeah, so my friend that lived in Chicago at the time worked for iHeartRadio, and so does them. He worked them, so it's kind of a connection.
Oh, they're radio people, right? Huh.
Yeah.
They're cute. They're adorable.
Big in New York and Miami. They go back and forth a lot.
I didn't know they were that. I didn't know how famous they were. That's cool. It's cool now. I think this is one of the most amazing things about like the internet era is that like you can be super duper famous to like a small amount of people, and like that's exciting.
Yeah,
you know,
I come across these Netflix movies with like foreign cast, like from Africa or Asia, and you're like, who's this person? You click them online, it's like 3 billion followers. You're like, oh crap, this person's famous.
It's cool, but you could also like go places and not be like seen. Like you can be a mega celebrity in France and then come on a vacation to the United States and like live your best life. You know, like do whatever you want.
Right.
Actually, can I sidebar this? There's this guy. Emile. His last name's Emile. Was that his name? God Emile? Anyway, he's like a French comedian, right? He's like the guy in France, like the comedian of all comedians. Okay. And he's like, I'm gonna try to get famous in America. And so my mom hears about it, and he's also like Moroccan too. So like I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta go see him. And he came to do a show in America, and he like on stage made the joke. They're like, if you think you want this show in French, you go to France and you pay me the full price because I'm charging you nothing to do this show in English here in America. Yeah. And I was like hysterical, but it was also like everybody in that room was like a Frenchie that was listening to an English comedian, like a French comedian doing it in English, but they all wanted French. But it's like, no, you got to go to France for my special show. But it was like the best night, and it was on my birthday too, and it was a bonding night with my mom and him because like there was cultural jokes that like I'll never be able to hear. Like when can I hear about like Moroccan culture on a comedy stage? Like that is very Persian comedians. We know there's a bunch. Yeah, you know all my people, all my favorites in LA. Right. But like Moroccan, I don't hear that. Moroccan Jewish, I don't hear that on stage. So it was a treat, and I don't think he's doing this anymore, I guess, in the States. But it was fun that he tried. He was very funny in English as well. So
French Montana, right? It's the only Moroccan that I know of. That's pretty cool. If you were a celebrity, what kind of celebrity would you want to be? Like a known for movies, known for writing, breakdancing?
Let me tell you, when YouTube came out, and I was like 14 or whatever, and I was like, I'm going to be a YouTube celebrity by the end of the year, right? And this is before the landscape that we have now of influencers. Like, there was like 5 influencers, like, on YouTube, and it was like, that was it. Right. So, like, I wanted to be that. Like, I was like, I want to be famous. Like, I'm going to do it by the end of the year, and I didn't know all that stuff. And, of course, kids, like, when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be famous. And it's like, well, what can I do to be famous? Well, you can only be an actor. You can only be a singer. You can only be, like, whatever. And so I was like, oh, I should do all that stuff. And I was a terrible singer. I can only act as myself at this point. I've learned. And so like that was a no-go. I almost got into like there was have you heard of this Barbizon scam? I think they probably rebrand, right? I almost got into that. God bless that didn't happen. Because that was a scam.
They're still around.
Are they still called that, or they just keep rebranding?
No, Barbizon.
It's a scam, right? It is a scam, right? Is this official? What do people in LA think?
Technically, it's not a scam, but
technically,
it kind of is. You know, it's like Herbalife.
But like,
it's not a scam, but it kind of is. You know?
Well, the reason those are not illegal is because they have lobbying groups. Like, I'm very anti-MLM. I don't know if that's offensive to you.
No, it ruined my life. My mom basically bet the whole farm on Mary Kay Cosmetics, you know, and they try to pressure to buy the things every quarter to get some.
They're making money off the sellers, not the buyers.
Absolutely, yeah. So I tell people this all the time. There's only two ways that you can stop being my friend, and that is putting your foot in my car and MLM. Like I have racist friends. I don't talk to them, but they exist. You know what I mean? But like someone tries to say, "Hey, brother, I have this cool opportunity." I go, "I'm sorry, I can't."
It's not an opportunity. They make more money off the selling people to join the thing than they do off selling the products. I've watched every anti-MLM movie. I say my blessing is that I did it when I was 18, not when I was like a mom that doesn't have any money, who's like who's being sold a dream. Thank goodness, because I feel like that's way more brutal than like what I went through at 18. I spent like maybe $200, $300. And then I learned my lesson.
What was yours? Oh, we can't talk about it? You're giving me a Athena face.
It was adventurous. It was an adventurous line. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
It was adventurous.
I asked because my mom's friend's kid was 18. She got into like Athena, which is like MLM for sex toys. And I was like, what are you doing? You're 18. We're moving on.
They don't exist anymore. They've rechanged. They don't exist as an MLM anymore. So, but it was a cool company. It was cool. They had some nice. I will say the products were nice.
Yeah.
And I still have access to what I bought. So I'm like,
fair enough.
For $200 is a great lesson learned. So
it could be worse.
It was good. I got it out of my system. I will say I won't say exactly what it was, but I will say like. I went to Indiana University partially because I thought it was so cool that they have the Kinsey Institute, which is like the Center for Sex Research. So I thought that was a very cool thing. And they have a really good, Debbie Herbenek. Is she a doctor? Dr. Debbie Herbenek? I don't know. I'm assuming she's a doctor. Was one of my teachers, and she's like very PR all over she's like the person people call. And they're like, we need a sex researcher on our show. And she's like the person, and she brings out like vulva pillows. And it was like so cool that we're still in touch. And like, she's super freaking cool. So anyway. Yeah. But it was cool that like we had access to people like that at Indiana University. So
I never thought vulva pillows existed, but I guess I'm a fool to think they didn't.
It's great because you can see the different parts and you can talk about what you're talking about on the show. She was on the Tyra show a bunch too, like talking with her vulva pillow. Like that was a whole gag. Like, I think it went viral like whenever the show was on 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, it's very cool. Sex education is amazing and necessary. So give it to the kids.
Absolutely. You can give her pillows.
There's charms, there's dresses, like there's a whole movement.
I got some quick questions for you here.
Yes.
Because I was kind of curious. So we're among friends.
I'm here for it. I'm more open with you than like anything I've ever done. It's like fantastic. You're awesome. So cozy.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. You know,
if anyone is listening and you're lucky for him to say yes to having you on your show, oh my gosh, you like it's an honor and it's a pleasure.
Check it out. So at my age, I am fueled by caffeine. What is your best way to intake caffeine if you partake in caffeine?
Ooh, I love that. Matcha. Matcha is like my second job was at Jamba Juice, and like we had matcha there and I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, and every person, if you ever like see any of the bits on like SNL making fun of Jamba Juice in place, it's because of matcha, like getting them off the walls. And I was so meant for that job. So it's great.
Mornings, afternoons, evenings? Like when do you?
Mornings, but I'm on a medication right now that's doing similar things to me. So when I'm not on that medication, matcha is great. So I will tell you, I'm very caffeine sensitive. I will not sleep if I have it like too late in the day. Like 100%. It's really sad. I can't do coffee anymore.
Oh no,
So
I told you to coffee at 10 o'clock at night. I'm totally that guy.
I can't do it. I used to drink Diet Coke when I was a kid. I was like 10 years old. I would drink Diet Coke before going to bed. And for some reason I
Yeah,
would sleep. I don't know why that was okay for a 10-year-old to have Diet Coke, but I can't do that anymore. So
right.
heartbreaker. And it makes, you know what else it kills me? It kills me because I can't have as much bubble tea as I would like. I love bubble tea, but I can only have like the basic like brown sugar boba, which is delicious, but doesn't have any tea in it because there's no, like, there's very little non-caffeinated boba.
The,
So
the the disdain in your face. All I can have is the basic. Ugh, I don't know how.
it's good. It's good. It's just, it's hard. It sucks. I can't have it like the way I want it. Like the regular one, I just like chug it. It's like so easy to drink. But when you have tea, it's like you sip on it. Like it's a nuzzle.
I can't. I
So
can't
I
do
like
it.
that about
I can't
tea.
do it. I can't do it. The
What?
tapioca.
Boba?
Just the
Also, there's bad boba. So hopefully you didn't have bad boba. Maybe you just
probably.
haven't found the right boba. No, I'm just kidding.
Everyone says that. You're doing it wrong.
No, it's you like what you like.
I used to live in the South and I hate grits, and everyone would be like, "Oh, you're just having the wrong
Ooh.
grits." I'm like, if there's a billion ways to make it, then it's not the food. That's just I think that puts things together.
You're right. You're right. Everybody's got to like, you like what you like, you don't what you don't. It's totally okay. You do not have to drink boba or have grits.
What is your favorite junk food? Do you have a junk food fave?
Chocolate is great. There was a tragedy this week where I may have made a bag of. This is my drug. This is literally like, do you know? You won't even know what this is. This is a bag in which I made puppy chow. Have you had puppy chow?
No.
Some people call it Muddy Buddies, but I think that's wrong. So
that sounds wrong too.
This is a bit. This is crazy. So you've never heard of puppy chow before?
No.
It's, imagine like a drug. Like, I don't know what crack is like. I don't know a lot about like what is crack? It's can I say like it's a crack of like sugar crack? I don't know if that's appropriate. It's peanut butter, chocolate, powdered sugar, butter, and like a rice Chex.
Okay.
Magically morphed together into like the most delicious thing you've never had. It is addicting and is delicious and it is weird. It's like a chocolate covered Chex.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was like, how do you eat it?
It's amazing. How do you what?
I was going to ask you, how do you eat it? So it's like a cluster, basically, like a cluster thing.
You don't eat it like cereal. You just.
Okay.
I wonder if there's like a piece in here that I could show you. This is the what's left of this.
This bonus content for the Patreon subscribers.
Bonus. Patreon subscribers. Here you go. This is one piece. This is a small piece. I don't have a full one because I ate all the full ones. But it
okay,
like,
yeah, I see it.
Like a whole. It's like a powdered drug. So the reason I call it a drug. So when I student taught in Australia in 2013, and I wanted to do something nice for my host families. What?
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. So I was like, why don't I make something that I know about? Because I learned about this because I used to run bake sales in high school, and somebody was like, this is the only thing that sells. And I would buy it. I was like, this is so good. Let me sell it. And everybody will always buy it. So bake sale success rate was this stuff. So I was like, why don't I make puppy chow for the families in Australia? Unfortunately, they don't have Chex cereal there, which I looked everywhere. They didn't have it. And so I found I just used like a Rice Krispies type cereal, which was okay. And so I made it for them. And these families, parents, the kids, the neighbors would just like I remember there was a picture I have in my phone. I had like a little tray this big from like my lunch that I didn't eat, and I like left it out for like the neighbor kids, the mom, and then like the kids from my host family. They were all like hyenas in this little tiny jar, just and I wish I was joking. So every family got a bag from me before I left, and it was delicious.
That is kind of cool, actually, to be able to impact a community that way with the power of food. Pretty rad.
Yeah, they should have obesity just like we do. Okay, so.
USA.
They should have what we had as children, okay? I don't know about you. I had a lot of McDonald's I'm still curvy. I got like 220 pounds on me. I don't need more. I don't know. I got some curve.
Yeah.
I eat some things. But I go to the gym twice a week and I feel fine about it. So whatever. We gotta do what's right for us.
What about
just balance the puppy chow in one hand and the chocolate on the other, What did I have? I had pizza today. Like, where's my other bag of chocolate that was here? Cookie, whatever. Chocolate, give it to me.
What was your Australia experience like? If you guys have listened to me long term in the show, I'm obsessed with the country, continent, and island. I've been trying to go there my entire life. Haven't made it there yet. What was your experience like?
Wait, where? Oh, in Australia?
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you say you liked Harry Potter? Because I have like a Harry Potter bit for this.
I'm kind of a casual fan. Go Ravenclaw.
Okay, so you definitely I know there's people that are probably more extreme. I was the cookie supplier, the cookie eater for my Quidditch club at IU because I was not a player, but I was like helpful. I was like on the periphery, which I thought was Quidditch is like a real sport. Anyway, so Australia
has a team, yeah.
See? So you know how like they have houses in Harry Potter? Like that's like a British thing. Apparently that's how like a lot of schools operate. So like
Mhm.
it happened in Australia. So every kid, there was like 4 colors and they were broken up into houses and there was like competitions and like you'd get points. So like whatever group you were with, you stayed for all of your elementary school, you stayed in that group. And then if your team, you got like these points and then like it was like a positive reinforcement thing, but it's like, oh, the green team won this year. So like that was so real. The other thing, like a lot of my stuff revolves around schooling. The other thing that was cool is that those kids had breaks AF, like tons of like, well, at least at the school I was, which was like a nice, I think like nice suburban, chill, whatever school.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I think it was like good medium income vibe. So I'm sure they also had a lot of privilege or whatever. But like they had, it was like 2-hour, 2 chunks and then a break, 2 chunks and then another break, and then they go home. So it was like a 30-minute break. And then it was 2 classes in an hour break, which 10 minutes they had to eat in their classroom and then they could go run around outside. And I was like, fantastic. And then the teacher's lounge, which is every teacher in America will tell you this is not a thing in the United States, had a fudge ton of beer just like in it at all times. I was like, beer. Yeah, like real beer. Like people in Melbourne like drink. Like they're not there to get trashed like Americans, but like they drink. Like I would accidentally get drunk with my host family. Like they'd be like, here, would you like a little bit of brandy for dinner? Would you like a little beer for dinner? I would be intoxicated on a school night when I had to teach the next day. It was like so confusing.
I love it.
The best part, what?
I love it. You stole Australia even more.
Oh yeah, the best part. So my last day at the school student teacher, they brought me up on stage every like week and a half. They would have like a big grandiose meeting, and they were like, "We had this student from America come teach here. We want to thank her." They gave me like a box of like all this Australian stuff, Vegemite, which is actually delicious once you get used to it. Milo, all this good stuff. My favorite gift they gave me that day: 2 school logo, elementary school logo embroidered champagne glasses.
Dang, for the kids.
Apparently for the kids, but they gave it to me as a gift. Like, here you go back to America. Like, whenever you get drunk, like, think of us, elementary school children.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is the best gift I've gotten in my entire life. Like, this is hilarious.
Would you go back?
I love Melbourne. Melbourne is such a great city. My first thing, if I had to leave America, I would go to either us. I would go to Amsterdam probably first, and then next I would go to Melbourne because it's such a lovely city. And it's community based. They're like very sporty, like just cute downtown, good art stuff. The public transit was brilliant. I just loved it. Yeah. I can talk about it all day. It's great. Sushi was affordable, and like if you get sushi, they have like delis. They look like delis for sushi, where it's like, oh, there's a roll. Okay, that's $2 for that roll, $3 for that roll, and you can make your little box. You get sushi for lunch for $8, which you could not do, I think, anywhere, unless you go to like grocery store. You get like a ton of sushi for $8. So
that's what I'm talking about. Whew.
Boba, everything. Anyway,
one of these days I'll make it out there. I swear.
It's a schlep. It's a schlep. And then there's like little penguins. There's the Great Ocean Road. There's like a lot of cute stuff. Backpacking around the coast. Like, if you could, it's one of those things you have to think about to make happen. But I'm so glad I did. They've got a hidden paradise down there. Yeah.
Hidden paradise. As you are being that globe-trotting person you are, you've done so many things. You're a social media Sherpa. I am so enamored. Question I asked my listeners to listen to your last episode that I wanted you to answer this time.
Oh, they asked questions? Okay. Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
Number 1, would you keep your business a sole prop, or do you have plans of expanding staff?
Look, there's always a dream to like make this business bigger. Do I make $1 bajillion a year? Yes, I do. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. I don't make $1 bajillion a year.
Yeah.
Am I paying my bills? Great. I live modestly anyway. So whatever. Like, I am happy that I'm doing the thing that I love. Do I wish it was bigger? Sure. But like, am I happy where I'm at? Sure. Am I happy that it's grown every year? Just even a smidge, like it's grown. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's possible. And I'm very much a person that values my flexibility and doing what I want when I want and trying to work how I like to work.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'll tell you this, like administrative tasks give me a lot of stress, and like I'm not exactly sure how to outsource and in what way. I do have a VA for like actually podcast stuff. I have a VA helping me with some stuff, but like it's hard. And it's like a lot of what ends up happening in this industry is that people have to go out and like they have to like go and advertise and sell and it's like a whole thing. Like it's like a cross between sales and coach. Like I have to go out and do the thing. And it's really interesting. Could I do more if I had a team? Sure. Do I know exactly what I would need to invest in right now? No, but I'm curious to see where it goes and in what ways I get to coach people that might be different than what I imagined. All I know is that I want to do more of the thing that I love. And it's working one-on-one with people to help them like first off, like I think people just need a little bit of like realizing how special and how cool they are. I like love that's like one of my superpowers, extracting it.
Yeah.
But like also people to find a way to like, share who they are that feels authentic to them. I've heard client after client say the word, "Oh, I want it to be authentic." And I'm like, "Yes." Like I'm never projecting like you have to do it this way and you have to post, a podcast every week and it has to be this way and it isn't like that's not me, but I feel like so many people sell that. And I'm like, "No, like do you know your people?" And I love that one-on-oneness. So I'm talking to people to see how I can do more about the one-on-one, whether it's through my private clients, through a group of clients or whatever. And I'm excited to see what's next. So if it's meant to be, I'm all here for it. Hopefully like whatever it is, like I will be able to take it and do good with it. So can't say no.
I got two more for you.
Okay.
Hi, Shaily, you're the bee's knees. Oh, what do you do
these
when
people? I want to love them. Yes. What do I do when person, whoever you are, hello?
What do you do when it's been a while since you booked a client?
Oh, what do I do? Like I think if any person knows. How do you do? I think you're supposed to like. What is the rule? Like, you're supposed to have like people in your pipeline at all times, like that you're building up. Like, there's plenty of people that I talked to last year that could be clients this year. Like there's clients that I have that are bigger clients, and there's some that are smaller clients, and like you know what? There's a different mix all the time. But I will say like just being like modest with what I'm not like a big like I haven't let lifestyle creep happen. I'm very good about like I only spend on what I need. So I think like the thing that is great, like when you feel pressure, I think with sales, which I've had that at various points in my career of like, I have to sell something because like I need to pay the bills. Like it makes selling like it makes you come off differently than like if you feel like you're okay where you are. So like I always have like a runway. I always try to like my goal was always to have a runway. I did have a point in my time where I did not have a runway and it scared the junk out of me and it made me super anxious. There was a full year, this is many, many years ago, that I was not getting paid for a single thing regarding social media, yet I knew exactly what I was talking about. And it was heartbreaking. And it sucked so bad. And I had other things that were paying the bills that year, thank goodness. But you have to like it's like you have to be ready. And like for me, like I've been doing my social media on LinkedIn for more than 3 years now consistently have been posting for the most part, so people know what's up. Like I am not a stranger to the people in my network, and I think it's like you have to be prepared. I think that like I don't know, you have to be prepared for all that stuff. And there are times where like I'll have more coaching clients or less coaching clients, or I'll have somebody that's stuck around for like more than a year for like some of the coaches, because I really want my clients to blossom and run with it. Like I want them to be empowered. So it's hard. But I have a CRM now, and it's like as much as I like, it's like a whole annoying beast. Helps me keep track of relationships because somebody might not be ready today, but they might be ready a year from now. And I've had that happen before. So and there's also people that like, I'm always putting out like good information. So like if someone does find me, like I was at a networking event today, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Well, you can look me up all over the internet. There's no shortage of information that I've put out to help people with or without working with me." So I guess it's like be prepared as you can be, but that's why I always have like other like it's funny like I'm gonna just keep going on this. I know I'm like saying a lot of things. I will say like I've had a lot of different side things that like have come up conveniently, like when I've needed them. Like I worked events. And I miss being in person. Like I miss like that Jamba Juice type of job where it's like I just welcome people and I get to greet them and I get to say, "Hey, come on in." And that's like so fun for me. Even like sometimes I would volunteer to do that at places because I love it so much. And so there was a whole industry with events that I would work. And there was a few months where it like worked out really well and it saved my butt a few times. And so the events world is coming back and I have like a whole week booked where I get to go help people as they're coming to Chicago for a very, very big event. And it's a lot of fun. And I love that I get to do that. Is it my normal everyday thing? No, but is it like a fun way to go out and see people again? 100%. So having like other options, I think is always good. Like I know as a business and I haven't had to go to this route, but if I ever get in real trouble, I have a teacher's degree. Like I can go and be a teacher. Do I want to be a teacher? Probably not. Do I mind subbing? Subbing is fun. Like I have that in my pocket just in case shit happens. Yeah. So like I hope people have stuff like that just in case, you know?
Yeah.
It's like thank goodness I'm okay. Something it can be. I don't know what it is now during COVID, but like I loved being the favorite sub. They were always like, "Oh, you're young. We can manipulate you." I'm like, "No, you can't, but we're gonna have a lot of fun." Because I'm not like some annoying person that's like 180 years old. Like, whatever. No offense if you're 180 and you're subbing.
Yeah, but 180-year-old fans gonna be upset for that.
But it's fun. I don't get to see kids anymore. Like that's kind of like the biggest heartbreaker of COVID is that I used to see a lot of kids and now I don't see kids anymore. Like, I mean, I virtual tutoring a little smidge. I don't do it. It's very selective, but like it's nice to have that. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
have insurance policies. It can't hurt.
Can't hurt at all. Last question from our users, fans, audience. I don't know.
You have yes.
End users. Okay. Any crazy? Oh, great. Any crazy client from hell stories you want to share?
Thank goodness, no. I will say I had like a little bit of a sad moment with like a recent client, and thank goodness they were professional about it. But like, I always do my best to make sure I'm not like, I'm never the person who's like, you're gonna make $1 million signing up for work with me. Like, that's not me. There's plenty of people who do that, and it's like BS and it's garbage, and they're just like money grubs, and it's just, I don't like that. I'm very honest when people are coming to me like, I want to get, how do I get this demographic to show up on my account? And I'm like, that's never been my thing. If you want to get an ad specialist, I can try to target people for you, like call them. Like, I always explain very, very clearly, like, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do, so that like people are buying into the right thing and there's no surprises. And I was very upfront with a person that I was working with, and like, granted, the time schedule when we were working together, like, they booked me a long time ago with like different prices than I sell now, so like they got a good value, and I told them, yeah, let's push it 3 months, like, until you figure out your thing, like, it's okay. And in the end, they're like, you didn't do this thing. And I'm like, I told you that wasn't what I was going to do. And they're like, well, we're just going to stop working with you. And they still paid up like a bunch of hours, or like, but not hours. I don't sell by the hours, but they still had like a lot of stuff that I wanted to do with them. But for someone to like, and then very professionally handled, like, it just was a very weird situation of like, I was being judged for what I told them I wasn't able to do. And it's like,
Right.
it's like, I always try to make sure that the expectations are clear, because I'm never here to sell anybody a dream. If your people are valuable to you, and that they're your next customer, your next client, like, I want it to be crystal clear to them that they need to send people your way. And this group had that opportunity and potential, but they were looking for BS social media tricks in the end. I'm like, that's not what I do. That's not going to help you. That's not going to solve your problem. Getting donors for a charity takes time, relationships, energy. Same for any business too.
True.
And it's like, I tell people, I'm not here for those magical tricks. Like, that's not me. Like, I don't want you to pay a penny to me if that's what you think is going to happen, because that's not how it works. And I'm very honest, and where I'm honest, people aren't. And it's a little, but like, thank goodness it was a very calm situation, but it breaks my heart a little bit, because it's like, I want this organization to succeed. I want them to get what they need. But I also know that like, the amount of what they needed, I wasn't able to give to them, because they've said, we don't want to, they've paid me already, but it's like, it's hard. So anyway, this is very vulnerable. It's just all very fresh. And I was just like, again, it's not like this is my biggest client ever, but it's like, it's sad. But at the same time, for every one of those, there's other people that like, what, I want them to keep going, and I want them to go and blossom their wings. And that's exactly what happens. Like, I am a stepping stone for a lot of people when it comes to their marketing, and I'm thrilled to be that. So, and if they need a cheerleader after the fact, like, I'm there too. So
it
I don't
is
think
kind
that's
of
hell.
difficult.
I've had good people. What?
No, it's difficult because like when you are a sole prop, like it's hard to separate your personality from the business. And so someone goes,
I mean,
I'm
it
not
is.
happy. It's like, but I'm still a good person, aren't I?
It is. And I've had other BS and like other stuff over the years, but I've learned to grow with thick skin. Like, I had a client that like, this is like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like one of my first contracts ever. And it was more doing social media-ish, managing an app. And like, he was very passive aggressive with me. And I told him like, please stop that. And he stopped for a minute, and then he did it again. And I was like, I'm not going to take this anymore. It took me a lot of years to have enough balls to be like, you treat me better. Like, this is not how you treat a person, or like, yeah. So anyway, there's like a lot of stories like that too. But I'm glad like that situation could have been handled so differently, and I'm glad that it was very professional, and I think that also, like, when you put out a premium service, like, people like, and you say this is how you want to be treated, people will treat you better. So I hope I don't know if that's been true for you. I'm sure in the events world you've had a lot of nightmares. But
yeah, ever so often. But it is kind of a thing where you have that balance of, no, I am the brand, and so I would love to like get into the ring and yell at you and punch you in the gut, but I won't.
That's heartbreaking, right? Like, it's yeah. And at the same time too, like, I feel like sometimes I'm a little harsh sometimes with like I was a little upset. Like, my new laptop, I just got a laptop replacement because the last one didn't work, has the same issues as the original one, and I'm like, come on. Like, Costco has amazing customer service, and I'm blown away by it, but I'm also like, this is not okay. Like, why is the second one having the same problems? Like, you'd think before you give this to a customer, if you're seeing this problem, that you'd fix it. So like I want to be mad, but it's also like, no, like, people are working hard behind the scenes to try to make stuff happen, and I don't want to ever be a Karen. So
yeah, exactly. No one wants to be Karen.
Anyway,
Well,
I can talk about this all day. I love it. Good subjects. Thank you.
no, I mean,
Deep
don't thank
stuff.
me. Those are not my questions. Okay.
Uh,
That's,
but it's a community that you've cultivated, right? You've brought good people together, and they
it's
love what you
true.
do, and it's
Yeah.
so cool. I didn't even know they had questions. Like that's so cool. Like
Yep.
I so appreciate them.
You say
So
social media Sherpa, people show up. But
really,
I'm like a Sherpa. What they look like? You know, it's kind of a what's over there. But
mountain guide Shaily, what's up?
before we roll out of here, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. Do you
Do
have any
it.
questions for this guy? I'm pointing at myself, y'all.
Ooh, how do you manage it all? That's oof. It's a
Well,
lot of things.
yeah.
You probably spent a lot of time putting these things together. The fact that you even like y'all, he knows the start date or like the air date of the show before we've even done the show.
Yeah,
So
calendars.
but it's organization is a struggle for me, which is why I know I need help. I just don't know which kind of help I need. So it's impressive that you can put this much output.
It's funny because I don't think I'm necessarily organized, but I realize, especially with the virtual world, that people engage with personalities. And so when you come on the show, and if you're nervous, but I tell you, hey, look, you can talk about whatever you want before we go live, and here's the date you're going to air, and I'll tag you, is way better than being like, sorry, can't make the show. I'm not going to tell you, and just ghost you or whatever. So like organization came to fuel that, to make sure if you're going to tell me your story that it's in good hands and not going to be like, oh, snap, you were raised by wolves? Tell me more. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's interesting. Yeah. I love it. What's your mini you don't have a mini TED talk. You've already told me earlier, like that's a lot of pressure. But if you did, like is there something you want to say to like the future yous of the world or anybody?
I want to get some X's, bro. That's what that's what I well,
Look,
no,
X's are cool.
I feel like my entire thing when I wrote my book, right, a graduation day, available now on Amazon, and it was an
Bam.
actual commencement speech. It was kind of like that, you know, like when you,
Wow.
especially when you are an immigrant, son of immigrants, or I've heard about the same thing with women, or I heard about people who are disabled. There's that thing of go out there, get a job, get a good job. But the world is not quite built like that, and I've learned that throughout my misadventures about how you can make your path your own way. So something along those lines.
I think that's great. I think I need that reminder too. I think I need that. I think a lot of people need that reminder.
Yeah.
I think we touched on this last episode. It's scary to try to do that because like what if it doesn't work or what if you don't pay the bills or like what if something happens? Which is why again, like side hustles, backup plans are always great. But like it's real. I think my hero is also the TED Talk that changed my life was very much on like chart your own path. So
Yeah.
it's a good subject line to remind people of. So who's going to interview you? Do you have somebody interviewing you to pull out I want you more of your story too. I love, we got a lot of good back and forth. Like
it's funny because everyone ever says that, yo, you know, you're like a mile of mystery, but I'm like, I feel like I talk so much week to week that I feel like I tell everyone everything at once.
That's true. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe I should probably like book you. I'll definitely pay you to ask me. Grill me, Shaily.
No, it's interesting, right? Like, you know, you air that and more people can see it, but you're a very cool person and I love that. But yeah, don't be scared of like doing something like this. The talk I did last September, which was supposed to be right when COVID started, was something I actually was able to pay to get into through this hero that changed my life at TEDx, which honestly was a very nominal fee for a very big stage and nice production, and I was able to record it. So like I think there's a lot more time and energy spent to try to get into one of these shows when you could potentially pay to sponsor an event for a lot less money. Well, you don't have to pay for a flight, you don't have to like, you know, pay for like videographers or like fashion or coaches, whatever. Like you can pay for a coach too, actually, that's not a bad thing. But like, you know, you can make your own. I mean, there's ways for you to get on a stage and say your story that like you could leverage elsewhere. Getting that video, what you do with it sometimes is more important than what a TEDx can potentially do with it. So I don't know. That was an option that I decided to take. And it was life-changing. So it was a program and it was friends and it was social and it was innovative. It was very cool. Anyway, this Cy Hillman, I'm obsessed with her. Stalk her. She's my hero.
Awesome.
But Mac and Cheese Productions. But yeah, don't be scared to like do that. There's like, granted, stages are weird now with COVID, but there's places for it. Like there is like, I'll give you this. I do events called 1 Million Cups, which is like you pitch your business to like entrepreneurs and they give you feedback and they give you ideas. The first time I did one of those was just over a year ago, and my pitch like then was okay, but like it got so much better after doing 30 of these events. And now it's like if I ever was like wanting to give like a talk about what's your business, I'm like, I have the thing down. So there's places you can do free talks like that and get the video and do what you want with it. There is Creative Morning. Oh, Creative Mornings. You'd be a cool Creative Morning speaker. Do you know about them?
No, I don't.
So imagine like a one-off TED Talk, but like once a month in like random cities all over the world.
Oh, cool.
You would have a great talk, and you're a creative, right? Would you identify as a creative?
No, yeah, I do.
Creative-ish.
Yeah.
I was like creative. Like there's a lot of adjacent people, but like I did one of those virtually. We had them in person, and like in Chicago, we're very well funded. We've been like a chapter for a long time. We have like $1,000 to like to spend on food every month, and you get like someone really really cool to give a talk on stage for like 20 minutes, get Q&A, and there's a video you can make. It's you usually volunteer to be a speaker there, but like that's a great way for you to put your story out there in front of people who want to be inspired, both virtually and in person. So there's for sure a bunch of chapters in New York. You probably do it virtually. I think for sure there's got to be an LA chapter, locally. I would look them up because that would be a great spot for you to do your TED Talk without having to do the whole hula of a TED Talk. Honestly,
Right.
That's what I'm going to tell you. Like, look it up and see if you could just like sign up to see it. And I volunteered with them for like years. So in Chicago, and I've gone to chapters around the world, which is fun. So don't feel like you have to there's only one way to do it.
Right. Right. That is so much fun.
Yeah. I want you to do it. Is that a to-do? Just like float in your mind. If you want to do it, do it.
Oh, okay. I'll do it and I'll show you. 2 birds with 1 stone.
You don't have to do it like this. I'm just saying, like, float in your mind, like, oh, let me go look up these places and see what's possible. I believe in you. Also, fans, let him know that you believe in him to go do the thing.
Now I can't cut it out.
No, now it's you don't have to do it. It's your life.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was relevant to where you are and what you're trying to figure out right now, but I hope you play around with it. So
I will. I actually wrote it down after this. I'll check it out. But
yeah, Creative Mornings. 1MC is way more low key, 1 Million Cups, but there's more like that because I used to love these. Yeah, there's one called Fuck Up Nights, which I've never been to, but it sounds really cool, where you tell your stories of failure. Also very cool.
That'd be pretty funny.
Another one for you and your audience, Ignite Talks. Like different cities have different chapters, and they're very much like mini TED Talks. So again, I have all of these. Okay, great. So I have an Ignite Talk, and I have my Creative Mornings talk, all on my YouTube channel too. So I've done all of them, and it's fun. So highly recommend.
Wow. What don't you do? Shaily, thanks again for being on the show. If someone want to connect with you and book you to speak at some things,
y'all, schools and sororities love to talk LinkedIn if you're listening, but but yes, I would love to connect with them. I am all over the internet. YourSocialMediaSherpa.com for business inquiries, but I do have ShailyHakimian.com or shai.ly, my 6-letter domain. Also goes to my personal website. It's TMI, but it's a lot of fun adventures that I've done over the years. So it's got my personal goodness. But maybe one day I'll merge the two back. We'll see. TBD.